before he moved here, actually, she did find out from somebody that there was some infidelity in the relationship when they were long distance, but she obviously decided to forgive him.
Hi, my name is Mimi, and welcome to Chismimimosa, the show where the drinks are cold and the chisme is hot. If you don't know what chisme is the Spanish word for gossip. And on this show, I like to catch up on my favorite internet chismes, watch a couple of gossip channels, and recount and share these stories with you. On today's episode, we're going to be watching a video by The Burt Show. The Burt Show is a lively morning radio show with a mix of hosts discussing everything from pop culture to personal advice. Listeners call in to share their stories and dilemmas, and the hosts offer advice and support. The show covers both funny and emotional topics, creating a community feel. They upload segments to YouTube so you can catch up anytime. And it's a perfect blend of humor, relatability, and heartfelt advice, making it great for anyone who loves real-life stories. Now, I've never actually watched The Burt Show. This was a ChatGPT recommendation. They've got almost 62,000 subscribers, well over 4,000 videos. So let's take a look at today's video, which is titled, "Did He Only Marry Her to Become a U.S. Citizen?" This is some chisme that I can really get on board with because I myself actually sponsored someone for immigration, and that did not go so well. So let's take a look and see how it went for this lady's sister. This is the sister who called in. She's convinced that her sister's husband married her for the green card. Let's take a look.
So is this love for real, or is it just to get U.S. citizenship? That is what Claire here is wondering. We got her on the voice disguiser.
After watching that debate, somebody actually wants to move here.
I hear you, man.
Sorry, I couldn't.
Lots of people still want to move to the United States, okay? I am not an American. I am a Canadian, but believe me when I tell you, lots of places that I've been, people there would die to live in the United States. So marrying someone to get a green card is obviously not that strange. So let's find out more.
Couldn't resist.
Yep. Hey, Claire, good morning.
Yeah, that debate was a
Hey,
debacle.
good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Good. How are
my
you
God.
today?
The voice.
I'm doing good.
All right. So is this about you, or is this about a friend, family member?
So this is about a family member, my sister. So she met her now husband when she was working abroad.
too.
And they worked together for about 2 months before they had to kind of separate and do long distance. And then shortly after that, he decided to come move to the U.S. with her on a travel visa. So a lot has happened since then, obviously.
Ooh, that was my same situation. I was working on a cruise ship, fell in love, and our contracts ended, and then we had to figure out how to be together. We spent much more than 2 months together. However, it was a few years working abroad together, and then we decided to settle and had to sponsor him. So let's we won't get too much into that.
So pretty much once he moved here, or right before he moved here, actually, she did find out from somebody that there was some infidelity in the relationship when they were long distance, but she obviously decided to forgive him.
Surprise, surprise. That do be happening. Look at this man's face. Is he Burt? I don't know. We're gonna have to find out. Yeah, that can certainly happen, and did happen in my case. In fact, but I didn't find out before I did the whole immigration sponsorship, because had I realized, there certainly wouldn't have been an immigration sponsorship in that case. But this woman apparently decided to, geez Louise, she decided to still proceed with the relationship. I don't like to judge people for their choices, but listen, forgiving infidelity rarely ever works out.
And move past that and move in together. And shortly after moving together, about 6 months, they got engaged, which isn't surprising because she She is a little bit older, so she's trying to settle down and have a family, and
Ugh.
they did seem compatible at the time. But then they kind of surprised us when they got engaged pretty quickly and then went off and eloped in the court.
Oh, that like red flags, sirens, ladies. Oh God, this kind of reminds me of, stories you hear about women who go to like Cuba and the Dominican Republic and then they fall in love with, some younger or not even younger necessarily guy who works at a bar or something. Like, you shouldn't be so desperate to get married just because you're of a certain age. I mean, I understand if people have procreation goals, etc., but you can really make some wrong choices out of desperation. You can certainly make some wrong choices out of love. So keep that in mind too, right? People do obviously fall in love with the wrong people every day.
Courthouse, so he could go ahead and start his visa process so he wouldn't have to be deported and do long distance again, where she feared he might not be faithful.
Yep, I know all about that. Yeah, I know all about that. Having to go through this process of bringing together a long distance relationship with a man that you don't trust. Like, ladies, do not do that. There are other men that you can love, all right? Do not go through all these hoops to bring someone from another country who comes from a different socioeconomic background and obviously a different, moral background, perhaps. Unless the both of them think cheating is totally cool, which blows my mind. But yeah, this is a recipe for disaster. I can tell you from experience, don't do this.
So, fast forward, to one, when you're on a visa, with a K-1 visa, she had to sign to be a financial
Yes.
sponsor for him. So that adds a whole
Yes.
another layer of stress to where even if they did get divorced or anything, she is financially responsible for him.
Really?
That's how it works also in Canada. When you immigrate, when you sponsor someone for immigration, at least from what I know from the experience of sponsoring a spouse, is you are their sponsor, and legally in the eyes of the government, you are responsible for them financially. And it just so happened that I was responsible financially for a number of years and was the breadwinner for the duration of the relationship, which is also really a bad idea, ladies. Being the breadwinner in a relationship, statistically speaking, it just sets you up for disaster. You have much more likelihood of betrayal, infidelity, abandonment, financial manipulation. It is really a bad idea as a woman, to be in the position of the breadwinner. It's, statistically, it's not so great. Apparently, the outcomes are never that great.
Really?
in the U.S. Yeah.
Really,
Huh.
that's how it works.
And that is minimum, it seems like 10 years of him working, but if he decided that he didn't want to work or if he got hurt or anything, she could be financially responsible for his whole life while he's here.
Yep.
So that's kind of stressful for everybody. But anyway, the past year, stress has definitely built up for them financially as he doesn't seem super motivated to work. They're both entrepreneurs, so he has worked while he's here, but and contributing what she thought was as much as he could.
That's something that I experienced myself as well. Where my ex-partner had entrepreneurial goals and didn't come from any kind of economic or educational background to make that happen. But there was a nest egg, there was a savings that was supposed to be his contribution to our life. And he decided to go and blow that on a really stupid business idea and lose that money almost instantly within a short number of months. And And yeah, that added to the stress of having to sponsor somebody to immigrate who had these lofty goals that they weren't qualified for. And yeah, I understand the pressure of sponsoring someone for immigration. It's really, really intense. The process takes, I don't know, in the United States, from what I understand, it's really, really long. In Canada, it was very stressful to sponsor somebody and sign on that dotted line with the government that you're financially responsible for them for a minimum of 3 years.
But then she found out he's actually been investing his money into crypto
Oh my
instead
God.
of helping contribute towards bills first and their credit card debt.
Oh my
So that's
God.
where the big dilemma has happened with this financial infidelity. She asked to sit down and talk over finances.
Yeah, look, there's not just one type of infidelity. Financial infidelity is a big one too. And they usually go hand in hand, okay? I experienced the same financial infidelity and, hiding money and, just avoiding discussions, avoiding the joining of finances, and to, at the end of the marriage, to discover that he had lost a bunch of money in Bitcoin because he had no idea what the hell he was doing investing. Again, someone with like no financial foundation for success, and really just squandered the opportunities given when he moved from a third world country to Canada.
And see how much he's putting into crypto.
Oh my
And
God.
he just outright refused and said that, you're not my mom, I can handle my finances. And
Apparently you
he said that
can't.
he didn't love her anymore and just would rather get a divorce than looking over finances.
Oh my God, this exact thing happened to me during the after forgiving like grotesque infidelity on just like a horrendous scale, and then deciding during the panini, sorry, I said the bad p word earlier, deciding during the panini that it was now or never was the time to buy a house after spending years and years and years saving, and the amount that had to be saved for where I live is astronomical. Took 10 years, and saving separately. And yeah, it was like a shit or get off the pot moment. And when it came down to let's go to the bank, let's combine the accounts, let's figure out what we need for this deposit, let's find a house, then it was exactly the same thing that this lady is describing her sister experienced. I don't love you anymore. I don't want to be with you. Immediate abandonment of a more than 13-year relationship. Almost 10 years of a very sham marriage to a man who was not honest. And so I never got to peek at those finances. And I bet you what happened with this guy is he lost such a shit ton of money, and he was ashamed and embarrassed for her to find out the truth. Or there were so many more infidelities, whether just financial or women. There was probably so much more dirt that she would have eventually found out, and so he bailed. That's definitely what happened in my case.
So what was weird was that quickly after saying all those hurtful things, and like y'all talked about before, by the time you want a divorce, things have probably not been good for a little bit in their eyes. He has now said, oh, we can try to work it out. I'll sit down with you. But then it was like a whole week before they sat down, and he did log into his bank account. She saw that he didn't have much money in there, and they talked about budget and stuff. But obviously, I'm like, if he hasn't been truthful before, he could have just moved around the money. So that would be my fear. But they came up with amounts that he could put towards crypto each month that they'd be comfortable with, so he could help contribute towards their rent and car payment and all that stuff.
Me, after 10 plus years together, never actually got to see the bank accounts. Dum right here. And so I don't actually know that amount that was certainly lost on crypto or whatever idiotic thing this this man I chose to marry decided to put his money towards instead of putting it towards our union and continue to allow me to be the breadwinner, or rather, I continue to allow myself to be the breadwinner. I can laugh at it all right now because, like, I'm good. I am so much better off without a leech in my life. But there are many women that feel like we need to settle. You know, we're told that women need to be patient, women need to settle. For men that need help, that we need to build a man, and all of that. And it really is advice that does not serve us, our best principles at times.
And after agreeing upon that, she found out a few days later he admitted that he put in $100 more than what they agreed upon. So she's just not really sure what to do.
Leave him.
Obviously, there's been a loss of trust. They're not communicating very well.
Is she? Are they still in a window where, if she gets divorced, he goes back to whatever country it was that he came from?
So that's what I'm worried about. So pretty much after you've been married for 2 years, it sounds like it's pretty hard to get out of the sponsorship and to get them out of the U.S. So,
man, I should have freaking got out of my shit. Let me tell you, I should, because now this person who betrayed me and abandoned me in all my worst moments, who left me in the middle of a burnout, in the middle of a panini, after leaving me with a dying parent, after allowing me to take care of them financially for years and years and years, this person now has a citizenship. And, you know, that kind of bugs me. That kind of makes me feel like that's not really fair, right? But I also was deathly afraid to back out of the sponsorship process, and just was thinking with my heart more than my head. And that doesn't always work out.
it's been that 2-year window barely. And then what I'm wondering is, did he change his mind all of a sudden that he doesn't want to get divorced? Because at the end of the year, they have a 3-year meeting with the government, and after that meeting, he can get his 10-year visa.
Yeah.
Obviously, because when I was at a point that I wanted to get divorced after discovering just the full extent of numerous infidelities, of just, I won't go into it, like a just grotesque level of betrayal. And I wanted to get a divorce, and, the begging and the crying and the screaming and the pleading and the threats of ending one's life, I can't live without you, etc., led me to continue on. And obviously that was out of that person's best interest, because they continued to spend the following years as an even shittier husband. So fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. No, how does that go? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I'm an idiot.
Okay, yeah.
That's probably it right there.
I get out now.
The math is
Get
working.
out
Yeah,
now.
I started to check out of the conversation
Now.
with the first infidelity. The fact that did that happen while he was in the country already, or he still hadn't gotten his visa?
He still hadn't gotten his visa. He was in a different country at that point.
Yeah, that would have been it for me.
But he was in a different country, so it doesn't count. What happens there stays there.
You know, that's what some men believe, that, it was in a different country. Oh, we were apart. There's some cultures, where infidelity is totally normalized. My ex was from a culture, from a country where culturally people are very sexually liberated, let's say. Promiscuity is super normalized. Infidelity, super normalized and tolerated, on both sides, for men and for women. And, those were discussions that we had, because it is so bad, in fact, that men from that part of the world are famous for that. They are infamous for being cheating, lying scumbags. And he promised me that, oh, I'm not like the other ones. Yeah, no, he was worse.
That's only Vegas. That's not. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a new NATO rule. That would have been it for me right there. Because it never gets any better, right? The beginning of a relationship, this dude is doing everything he can to get into this country, and he still can't keep it in his pants. So that would have been it for me.
Yeah.
And with all this other stuff lined up, it seems like a pretty easy decision here. This guy, he's a piece of work.
Is a piece of work. Yeah.
I mean,
but some of them are some men like this are so expert, so professional, so adept at convincing others that they're good guys, right? Because they're the guy that'll help you move your couch, or, help you build a deck or something like that. But they're also the scumbag that will cheat on their wife at any singular opportunity. And you'd be shocked to know that you don't even necessarily have to be a very handsome man to get up to these shenanigans. Okay, so women, like, be smart. All right, all this nonsense that we're told that we need to settle. Because good men sometimes need building, or like banking on potential that you invent in your mind. It's insane. Don't do that. Be alone and build yourself, okay? Because there's no love story that is worth it. And certainly the love of your life and your soulmate is not someone who could possibly do any of this. I found out far too late what the truth was. But then once I found out and I had an opportunity to get out, he convinced me that we would work on it, and then to ultimately be the one several years later to decide that he was out.
I mean, if I think that I would just let it go at this point.
I'm with you on that one. I mean, the man couldn't be on his best behavior before he even had the visa in hand. That was everything you needed to know. But we've crossed that bridge already. But at this point, I would stop now, count my losses before it gets even worse.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with y'all. I think this guy sounds incredibly sketchy. I think
selfish.
This relationship should have ended at the infidelity, because that tells me everything you need to know. If you can't behave before you guys are in a committed marriage, then that behavior is going to follow you into that. So,
and like, you cannot trust words, right? A man can say anything, all right? People will say whatever they need to get what they want. Words and actions need to line up. And unfortunately, you can't just trust the words. I thought that I had all my bases covered. I was very, very clear on infidelity being my absolute breaking point, that I had already experienced that it's not something that I wanted to experience again. It's not a pain that I wanted to continue to relive in my life. And this person didn't care about putting me through that again and again and again. And I mean, it can happen to anybody. It doesn't really matter what you look like, or how you are in bed, or how loving and caring you are, and how many boxes that you check off. Because I can guarantee you, behind every beautiful woman who has been cheated on is a guy who is nowhere near as attractive as her, who is nowhere near as yoked as she is, who doesn't have his career where she's at, and who has cheated with like gutter pigs, okay? Which was the case for me. Literal, shockingly hideous, very older gutter pigs, okay? Like missing teeth level trash, all right? No one is immune, all right? So just think with your head and not your heart, especially in matters where the government is concerned. Do not sponsor some scumbag from a third world country because he's charmed you and told you a bunch of pretty words. Meanwhile, he's banging some gross old hoes behind your back. Because, especially when a man acquires more than he deserves, he's gonna fuck it up. All right. And he, the statistics say so. Women that are the breadwinners are so much more likely to experience infidelity. And yeah, I think that those kind of guys eventually always end up where they actually believe that they deserve, right? They're not cheating with, prettier girls, better life position. No, that's generally not the case unless, they did mention she was older. So if this is like a 90-day fiance situation where it's like a much older woman with a younger guy from, a third world country, and he's younger and he's better looking, like that doesn't work out, ladies. Okay. Like think with your heads. Okay. That also doesn't work out. I wouldn't know because I've never been with a man better looking than I am. I should try it. I should definitely try it one day.
I'm with both these guys.
She sounds like she's a determined person and she wants to make it work. But if somebody keeps showing you time and time again that they're not putting in that same effort, it's time to walk away.
Yeah, my guess is as soon as he crosses whatever citizenship finish line this is to where he can stay here, this marriage is over. I'm guessing that he wanted to get back together after the thought of divorce because there was some kind of legal thing that was keeping him in the country. This is just speculation.
So he's going to, get his papers in order after he no longer needs her. And what is he going to do? He's going to then find a woman on his level where he's going to be the breadwinner and he's going to be the big shot and he's going to be the guy on top, right? That's usually how it goes.
But there's so much crap going on here. She's the one putting everything into it and is risking everything, and he's showing her nothing. I'd say bail now, man.
Bail now.
And if they do get a divorce, just clarifying, Claire, does that mean how long is she going to be?
Oh, he's going to go after her for money. That's the other fear that I had too, is if she's the one bankrolling the relationship and he doesn't contribute nothing and he doesn't work and he's not ambitious, he thinks of himself as an entrepreneur because he's losing money on crypto, then he could go after her for everything she has. Ladies, listen to me. Do not get married, okay? Like, don't do it. If you got your shit together financially, it is a super duper risk. I believe everybody should have a prenup. Everybody, okay? Everybody needs to sit together and put shit clear on paper and make agreements because my goodness, you could save yourself a world of trouble if you just realize like, hey, on paper, this doesn't make sense. Maybe it doesn't make sense for me to marry a guy from a third world country who has nothing to contribute to our relationship other than pretending to be a nice guy. Okay? Don't do it.
Fiscally responsible for him if they get a divorce.
Of course she is.
So even if they get divorced, she could still be on the hook for paying anything that he can't make for the poverty level, which I think is around $20,000 a year.
That's
so
how it
whatever
works.
he doesn't make, so if he doesn't work at all, he could sue her to pay $20,000 a year, which I don't think he would at this point because he knows that they don't have that money, but that could change at any point.
Ladies, you could have a wheel of lovers, okay? You could have beautiful friendships. You could travel. You can make your coins and keep them for yourself, all right? Being single is not that bad. Believe me, it is actually far more lit to be single than to be in a miserable marriage or relationship with a deadbeat. Like, really, a bad relationship is a burden. You don't need to be desperate to be with someone. I understand that there are women that have the desire to have children and families and all of that. You can explore ways of living that are outside of the narrative of you need to settle down and you need to be with a man and you need to have struggle love and you need to hold him down no matter what dirt he does to you. Really, you can be totally thriving as a non-partnered person. It's really is so liberating. We have more freedom than ever. Don't be desperate to be tied down to a deadbeat.
If she's in another relationship in the future, she would still be legally responsible for him unless he decides to give that up. And so what she did ask him, like, hey, if this wasn't about the visa, if it isn't it, then willingly give it up and walk away if you're not happy with me.
I asked for the same thing. Of course,
she's not willing to do that, but she doesn't want to give up on a marriage without trying therapy and stuff like that. But
oh my God,
I'm kind of with y'all.
This is my life story.
Therapy's going to fix this.
No, therapy's not going to fix a lack of character. Therapy's not going to fix a person of low moral value. Therapy is not going to fix a person who is, essentially so broken. I don't know what country this guy came from, but, maybe he comes from somewhere where he's had to survive all his life. And his survival comes before anything else. I did the same thing where I said, give up your residency, give up your permanent residence, and get the fuck out of here. And that didn't happen. That did not happen. In fact, they now have citizenship and it cannot be taken away from them. And why did they get that? Because of me.
And then who's going to pay for the therapy?
Yeah,
exactly.
I feel like this guy's just holding on. He is just 100% holding on until I bail now, okay?
Scumbag.
All right, thanks, y'all.
I think we're all under the same impression here now.
Get out of there.
That was great. Okay, so, guys, coming from experience, okay? Do not, I repeat, do not make the mistake of entering into an agreement with your potential spouse and the government just willy-nilly. There's that trope here where I live in Canada about the lonely women who go to the Dominican Republic and who go to Cuba to find men, and then they drag them here. And the whole time those dudes are doing whatever they're doing. I've heard such stories. Maybe that's a good idea for another episode, is the stories of what happens to these women when they go find these men abroad and in the Caribbean who are just looking for a way out of their third world countries. They're just looking for a way to move up in life. They're not trying to build something with you. They're trying to build something for them. They're trying to build themselves a raft, okay, to get out like the rats that they are. And like, no one is immune, okay? You can be a woman who is successful. You can be a woman who's beautiful. You can be a woman who comes from a good family. You can have a good career. You can have shit going on for yourself. You can be intelligent and have a beautiful future ahead of you, and you can fuck it up so easily because you chose the wrong man. So don't listen to everybody that says that women have to settle. It's not great men out here for everybody. That's what a lot of red pill narrative is. Just be single. It's friggin' lit, okay? Honestly. So what did you guys think about this episode of, my goodness, of The Burt Show with this guy who very likely married this poor woman just to get a green card? Do you have any personal experiences, any personal stories? I feel like everybody kind of knows someone who has gone through this. And look, when I first got together with my ex, there were those like judgy people that were like, what are you doing? This may not be a good idea. And I was like, no, I love him. He's good. He's a good one. He's not like the rest of them. Yeah, he was 1,000 times worse. But there's still some people that are absolutely convinced that, that he wasn't. Anyways, I would love to hear your opinions. Let me know in the comentarios. I'm trying to get better with replying to the comments. Again, this is totally new for me. This is a bit of an experiment. I work in digital marketing and in SEO and in content, and I've never been the person who actually makes content like this. But I am playing around, seeing if I can get myself to monetization. I am trying to stick within this niche of the call-in shows and the real-life stories and the chisme, because that is my favorite thing to talk about. So thank you very much for joining me once more on Chismimimosa, the show where the drinks are cold and the chisme is hot. I'll see you next time. Ciao.